there's actually another really powerful pattern that was discovered by a psychologist by the name of John Bowlby, I believe his name was, in 1953. And he was a British psychologist, and he didn't know his parents very much. And he was raised by his nanny until he was 4 years old. And so, I mean, as painful as that must be to not really know your parents, I think they were scientists, they were traveling a lot. But what was so sad is that he was raised by this nanny who ultimately became his mother. But then his parents fired the nanny at age 4, and then they sent him off to boarding school. So I don't think a person could have encountered like any more painful of a childhood than this. And so what happened is that this created his drive to understand. He did a lot of experiments with children and their caregivers. And one of the experiments that he did was he took children and their mothers, and they put them in a room, a creative room with colors and stuff and painting and toys. But then they took the mother out, and all of a sudden the mother left, and then the mother wasn't there anymore. And so they noticed the differences in the children's behavior. And they said some children got very, very anxious. And even after the mother came back, they were always checking, They were always checking, is she here? Is she back? And even when they came back, the children were very, very anxious. And then some children, on the other hand, completely disassociated. They just became rigid and stiff. And even when the mother came back, they didn't even seem interested. Like they internalized the pressure and the stress. And these two patterns became known as the anxious and the avoidant pattern. And so if you've ever been in a relationship where you find yourself being really, getting really, really nervous and becoming really, really needy, like and you become super aware of the back and forth velocity of the texting, right? And so you notice if the frequency of the texting changes, or you notice that you're getting red hearts and lipsticks, and then now you're getting white hearts or no emojis at all, right? If you're the kind of person that notices and is like hyper aware of all of those different nuances, and you find yourself getting really unconscious or uncomfortable or afraid, so that would be the anxious pattern. And what's interesting is that the anxious and the avoidant are also, they attract each other. And what happens is avoidant people, when they get too into intimacy, they tend to just leave. They tend to just push the other person away. And it could be like in the middle of a kiss. It could be in the middle of a deep conversation. So these two attachment styles, and this is what he created. He created something called attachment theory, that these two attachment styles tend to attract each other. They also can be rather